So I founded WorkJuggle last year based on my own experience of trying to get back into the workforce. So I'd worked in IT for many years and I'd had 3 kids. And after I took time out, I just found it really hard to find the kind of work I was looking for. Not necessarily that my skills weren't in demand, that they were, but really to find out information about the culture of the companies and to find out was there any possibility of flexible work. Not really necessarily working a 3-day week, but was it possible maybe to do remote working occasionally, or just to get a real feel for the kind of company before you're at the final interview stage and really you feel they're the questions you can't really ask.
Do you think we're at a point now where employees are actually demanding this kind of flexibility? I mean, there was an idea up till now of some sort of flexible work, 3-day weeks, something like that. But it seems to be they're asking for work that works for them. And are employers responding to that appropriately?
Well, I think the smart employers are. So people who are, I mean, it is really hard, really tight on the talent front. And I think particularly you mentioned there are people looking for it. And I think particularly people who've had any kind of flexibility before, they generally do not go back to a very structured Monday to Friday 9-to-5 role. If you've had the experience of working remotely occasionally, then that's just part of your way of doing things. And that becomes your new normal. And what I find is we've 2 big employers we tend to work with. One is like the large multinationals, and particularly tech companies. They just really seem to understand diversity, inclusion, why it's important and why it just adds to the bottom line. But also we get lots of like small companies. So I can't afford to hire somebody 5 days a week, so I'm going to hire somebody 3 days a week. But when I hire somebody 3 days a week, what they tend to see coming through are candidates who are just punching well above their weight. So they get people who have really great experience, who wouldn't necessarily have looked at that company before, but if they're offering something on a 3 days a week, well then I'm interested. And if they're doing something that's different and innovative in their working practices, then what else are they doing that's different and innovative? And maybe that's a much more interesting company than I might previously have thought.
So there are companies that can kind of tap into an underserved talent pool by being more open and flexible. What do they need to have in place for that? Is it an intimidating project to take on? Do they need to kind of rethink their structure, or is it a challenge?
No, I really think, I think we've really tried to move away from that. What I find is if people just say, for a particular role, open to flexibility, because flexibility means different things to different people, right? Some people have terrible commutes, some people have childcare issues, some people, for some people like that is the working from home is important. So it means different things to different people, but just to know you can have the conversation, then that just changes things completely. And you don't feel like you're going almost, cap in hand, could I please, would you mind, and trying to contort yourself in some way to make it work, but just like, okay, so you're open to flexibility. So for me, flexibility might mean doing this job on a 4-day week, and this is how I'd like to manage that, and what do you think of that? And it's that simple.
So what would your advice be to companies who are starting to think this might be a good idea? What's the first step that they need to take to start implementing procedures like this?
Well, I think they need to look at their productivity. What is it that they're really trying to do? And I did say in the talk, bums on seat does not equal productivity. We're living in a knowledge-based economy. Think about what's the real results you want to do, and then talk to the candidates and see what are they looking for, and don't make assumptions. Have a really open conversation. Like on WorkJuggle.com, we get companies registering every day, and what they're finding is they're just getting fantastic candidate pool coming through because they have that bit of flexibility and they're open to it.